Mic test, mic test, mic test. Am I live on YouTube? Let me watch home stream, make sure everything is fine. So, hold on, let me turn the music down just a little bit. Yeah, hello everybody, welcome. So today I'll just be going over the new Iron Saga EN collab. That is the Gunbuster collab. And of course, if you're watching this in the future, everything I talked about will be timestamped in the comments and in the description. There isn't too much to talk about because the builds are quite easy or quite straightforward. So I will see if I can speedrun this within at least 30 minutes. I want to see if I can do that because I'm gonna be very busy today. So let's see if we can do that. But for now, let me just make sure my stream is going well so I can start the guide. Okay, seems like it is fine. Okay, let me see. Let me show myself real quick. Mic test. Okay. Alright, let me just make sure my stream is also public as well. So let me see. Alright, okay. Alright, so hello everybody. Again, if you're watching this in the future, just know everything I talked about will be timestamped in the comments and in the description. I'll try to go over everything that I can remember back in Gunbuster collab, as well as his builds and everything else. I probably wouldn't go into the builds for the Buster machines, but those shouldn't be too hard to build as long as you know how to play in limited, because I mean you'll be using it in limited most of the time. And new players, I'm not sure if they will have enough stamina to get all the Gunbuster, like the Buster machines, but for new players, definitely trying to get at least one copy of like the free copy of Gunbuster in in the development. So 欢迎 Alright, hold on, let me just cough real quick. Alright, hello everybody. So Gunbuster. Also 喵喵欢迎 So Gunbuster, the chances of fact in English is even longer, or I mean look even longer because it is in English, right? So I'm going to go into NC again. I'll just try to translate what once he does, because again a lot of time Ian doesn't really have the best translation and stuff like that. So so what does it do? So look, it have a lot of the basic copy and paste effects from like the HP removal, the based on self max HP, the 40% final damage reduction, the 40% final damage value increase, and of course it will also increase based on how much action and weapons there are. That also means opening weapons is also important because you do get more damage from that, and of course your own self HP is also important, as the higher your HP is, the more those called the HP removal Gunbuster can do, which all of them are quite important into this meta, because a lot of time those are the ways that you do damage in the game now. So however, despite a lot of these being copy and paste from other units, there is one very unique stuff, which is the stance that it does. So let me see what English call it as. Almighty pose. So it's basically the pose, so I mean for those who watch the anime, right, it's basically this pose. This very strong and I guess how you say this in modern era, right? Like, okay, so like how do you say you're trying to act cool in this, like in 2025? I don't really know, but like basically in this stance, in this stance, this is the whole mechanic for this mecha, because this stance itself covers so many things that can happen in PvP that I mean even if 5-star, just having this stance are already pretty broken. So what does this stance do? Whenever it is not during battle, that means when it is not in action, when it is not using when it is not in action, when it is not using a weapon and such, it will go into that stance. Whenever going that stance, it will be of course it will be immune to damage. So basically there wouldn't be a time where it will be immune to damage, because action can be performed out of this stance, right? So you can basically connect all the iframes together for you to have almost in, like almost infinite amount of iframes, because whenever you're not in a battle, you will go into this state, right? Well, at least for a second. So during the stand, you'll be then you'll be immune, and the enemies that targets it, so the enemy that saw this stance, like saw this imposing pose, within 2 seconds, their final damage value will reduce by 28%. And another scary thing is it will increase their action cooldown by 1 second, and the trigger gap is 2 seconds. So this stand itself covers damage immunity. It can help connect, I guess that can help connect between the iframes, like chaining the iframes between actions. And it also do debuff on the enemy on both on the enemy's damage as well as the enemy's cooldown, which all of them are pretty scary in today's meta, because with what it is debuffing. However, this is not exactly like the best part of this stance, because this stance, you can act out of this stance during enemies forced interruption. So basically, if enemies gives you an action that is bad, right? For example, let's say if this unit gets spun by Lilith, right? It can get out of that state by this stance and immediately go into this stance that will make them immune for 1 second. And also during that 1 second, you can also just act out of that stance into another action, basically making it have not exactly permanent, like as long as you don't get double, as long as you don't get doubled force interruption like within 2 seconds. As long as that doesn't happen, then you should be able to be immune to at least a good amount of anti-force CCs in this game, which I guess it does accommodate it from being, because a lot of its action doesn't actually have protections. Well, a lot of action right now doesn't have protection either, right? However, a lot of future units sometimes have force anti-interruption on the entirety of its action. So despite Gunbuster not having a good amount of interruptions, it is able to, it kind of has that, like a pursuit of that because of this stance thing that's going on. So yeah, this one stance alone is already just makes Gunbuster can just AFK kill majority of the units, like a lot of the older units in the game, just because of this pose. And because again, you can't act out of it, and or especially if you use it with the Black Knight Awaken. Now I don't think you should use it with Black Knight Awaken, because Black Knight Awaken is probably better to be used it on someone else. But if you were to use Black Knight Awaken on this unit, after you use the active skill, this action will become will become a counter, basically making it attack despite you turn off everything in the what's called, like in the battle and such. So yeah, it's a little funny when you have everything turns off, like just goes into this stance like over and over. I mean, it did have a fix already, but back then it was a little bit more funnier. Also, yeah, this little pose also counts as an action, so that means it can trigger a lot of the action skills, like I don't know how you call it in English. Let me just double check real quick. So I'm gonna trigger something like okay, no, so I guess you can go in, yeah, so you can trigger something like purify, right? Purify, wait, no, not purify. You can go into something like one of his is vitality, right? Whenever you use activate after using an Mecha action, heal 3%, and just skills like that, right? Skills like that have to do with actions, as long as it is fit within the criteria of the actions, it will be able to use that. It will be able to trigger those skills, which again, it can be very scary, in today's or for future, or even the skills now. But however, the builds for this unit are pretty simple. Like I guess the most meta build has already been established in top PvP, so that's what I'll be getting into as well. Now its weapon is nothing too crazy. Yeah, nothing too crazy. You're opening it mainly just because you want to get more damage from from chassis. But if you don't have enough, like if you don't, or if you want to save, you can potentially save. You can potentially skip the weapons. But personally, I do think that opening it, because again, it is Gunbuster, right? It is iconic, right? But yeah. And of course, if you can get HP, that'll be even better, because again, HP does also increase, its final damage, or like its HP stealing and such. But it is not something that is completely necessary to upgrade, weapon and HP. However, for weapons, just know that it does have Iron Fist, 2 Iron Fists at the beginning. You have Swords Melee, so skills or pilots that will work, along with Mecha that does have this. That does have these kind of I guess weapon types can work. So it doesn't have, but it doesn't really have any other. I mean, yeah, it doesn't really have any other other types of melees as of now. So look at that. So now onto its action. Now its action, I don't think it's anything too crazy. I mean, it is your standard really good action, in modern eras, right? Good, good CCs, good force, good force, KDs and good damage. I mean, before the patch, that didn't have good damage, but after the patch, it definitely does have good damage and such. I believe his one of his move, like one of his AoE move, like the earthquake does have like a big AoE KD, but its most, I guess its most what's it called? Its most unique skill is of course a super Inazuma kick. Now, what this kick do is it will kick every unit on the field at the moment. So that means the more enemies that is on the field, the more damage that it will do. For all enemies, I think it will kick twice, and then both doing I guess good damage. I mean, it's like it will do great damage, like the more units they are on the field. But even if it's a solo unit, it still does kick twice. For you to do I guess like over however amount of damage, which is quite which is quite a lot into the like, even for single targets. So 1 second, I don't know why my throws came on stucking. All right, okay, so however for this move though, at the beginning, like when it is just starting, it actually doesn't have anti-4 CC protection. So if it got interrupted during the activation of this move, then it will not, then the move can actually be interrupted. But once the kick start kicking, like once it go into the air and start kicking, that is when it will have I believe full anti-interruptions during the skills. Now all of his other move doesn't really have force and force, Jesus Christ, anti-force interruptions, but at least the kick, as long as it goes into the kick, it will have it will have protection from that. So yeah. And of course this you can also probably, or I guess like these should probably also go into your build, like when you're building this unit. These should also be going into your mind, about having these protections against 4 CCs and such. However, I'll show you guys the more optimal build in that was back in NC and such. So don't worry about not knowing how to build this unit. So Jesus Christ, hold on, give me a second. I don't know why my nose and throat is dying. Jesus Christ, yeah, Jesus Christ. I don't know why my throat and nose is just fucking dying tonight. I mean, I just woke up, but whatever. I thought that should be everything about Gunbuster. Of course, you know, there are more things in there, but just know that its chassis already covers everything. It got the damage, it got, you know, like, it got enough stats on both damage and defense abilities, and it also got the unique ability to debuff enemies, you know, by going to the stance, you know, as well as, you know, just having protection against CC just because of this stance alone. And of course, you know, it can also heal itself, it can also, you know, reduce its own action CD and such. So it is a unit that basically covers everything. The only thing that is, I guess, not good is the, you know, most of its action doesn't have, you know, anti-force CCs, which, you know, most units now doesn't have it either. But the thing is, it will only be in the future, where once the units that come out that has all the anti-force CC built-in interaction, then this unit might seem a little bit more, I guess, you know, I guess a little bit more, not as broken, because it doesn't have, you know, built-in anti-force CC or as much. However, there is a bug right now in NC that basically after you finish an action that contains anti-force CCs, then you will get permanent anti-force CC in the game that basically, how do you say, even when you're not doing an action, it will still give you like a permanent anti-force CC, which kind of just kills a lot of units that relies on, you know, making enemy go into the CC stance in recent metas. So yeah, and from that bug, like from that permanent anti-force CC bug, the biggest winner is probably Gunbuster, because for Gunbuster, as long as it finished using, you know, its Inazuma kick, then everything else it does will have permanent you know, anti-force CCs, effectively making all of its action on par with, you know, a lot of the future units. This is why, I mean, now Gunbuster is not as used anymore, but, you know, Gunbuster was in PvP for a long time. Partially just because Gunbuster is a really good unit from all the things I talked about before. But of course, you know, this bug definitely helped Gunbuster be on par with even the future unit that does all have all the protection, like that, from either a bug or maybe something that they intended. So alright, so this should be I think about Gunbuster. Let's get into its build now. So now I know Ian doesn't have this guy yet, but at least now, or at least, like, if you were to use Gunbuster now, right, this is something that you will go for. Is with this Waterloo creator pilots, as well as the Waterloo free pilots, you know, that will help out on the Waterloo creators pilot. Now I'll get into his pilot. I'll get into his pilot skill when when coming in, and of course I'll be going for the builds on, you know, on her as well. But I'm going to talk about the best one so far, because the moment that he releases, it was almost immediately, or not immediately, but like, it was being used on Gunbuster, and it has been more popular than using the Cannon Pilot Girl on Gunbuster. So I'm just gonna use this unit now, and I'll also explain why that is the case and such. So actually, I think I might have to talk about this pilot like the moment. So what this pilot does is it will gain this how do you say, you know what, yeah, this pilot will gain a special, I guess, points, I guess fame points, because they're I think they're content creators. So he'll gain his fame points, and I guess when they're not in battle, they will consume the points in order to use the strongest move of the mecha. And you can see how this is very strong, right? If you have a lot of these points, then you can just chain a lot of Inazuma kick over and over and over, and just kill every team, because again, it kicks every single enemy, I think twice twice on the field. That's massive damage, and you know, just it can just one shot everyone. Well, not say one shot everyone, but like it can potentially just, you know, beat it, you know, do the damage and potentially just win you the game very quickly. and this is the reason why we're using, you know, refresh core as well, because, you know, his active skill gives him this, you know, gives him these points that can make them spam more X ult. And of course, another reason is because when it uses basically an ult, an X ult, it will also gain anti 4cc protections, which again, it is something that Gunbuster really needs, because again, it only after, right, like all of his action doesn't really give anti 4cc's, and only its X ult gives it, but things, you will have to use X ult out first, right? The kick had to come out first for it to have anti 4cc's. Now if you have this guy on, then not only does this guy provides a way to consistently do super Izanami kick, it will also be able to, you know, give you protections that can help you, you know, use the super Inazuma kick more out. So there's one reason why, or these are the reason why he is like one of the ideal pilots on Gunbuster, especially, you know, like right pretty much after after him come out. And for the core, obviously just use refresh core, because again, his active skill does give him the points that can make him use even more X ult. So refresh core are usually the best core if you want to build for this guy. Of course, there are other builds, you know, that you want. Like for example, if you were to use it with the cannon pilot, if you were to use it with her, then you probably want to use this core that can make medium. I guess, range units have anti 4cc's doing his actions, which again, Gunbuster really does want that as well. So refresh core on this guy, and then the other things are pretty much the same. Yeah, the other things, yeah, super roll fist, the blue batteries, the firm seal, the gag coat, and the fish Pisces. Yeah, there isn't any wiggle room that would be, I guess, worst, like, or that would be better, because I mean, your Gunbuster are the one doing damage. So after a bunch of kicks, especially because, you know, if enemy has, for some reason, if the enemy has extra unit, like more than 4 units on the field, if they have, you know, like if they use clone and such, it will kick everything. Like Inazuma will kick everything, like every enemy units on the field. And if the enemy were to be using something like, you know, clones or something like that, then it can give an enemy a lot more, like it can give even more Pisces shield on that. So it can basically just make Gunbuster even more unkillable. So yeah. And for the bullet, I guess the only thing that can possibly change are probably the bullets. The bullets you can probably use, you know, the hammer, but your goal for Gunbuster are doing damage, so you might as well lean into that and try to do maximum damage. So I don't really think that is ideal. So I really think using Super Robot Fist are the best choice here for Gunbuster, because again, your Gunbuster are the one shardder machine, like our DDPS in your team. So I think just use Super Office will probably be better. And other things are quite straightforward. There really wouldn't be much change unless you are using it with her, which, you know, you will want to use the HP code, or the HP what's it called, the HP armor, because of her skill, which I'll get into when I get into this build. So once he releases, whenever he releases in EN, this will be the best build. And for the co-pilot skill, you want to use a special for the for her, because her special gives this creator character more points for you to, you know, spam even more spam even more skills. So this is the builds once, you know, or this is the ideal build once Waterloo Collab comes. But of course, you know, Ian doesn't have the Waterloo Collab yet, and maybe Ian won't have the Waterloo Collab. And of course, for those who do want to use her instead and want to use, you know, the guy on something else, this will be the build for what's called, if you want to use the cannon pilot on what's called on if you want to use the cannon pilot on Gunbuster. So now the code, instead of refresh core, I'm using this no, I forgot what it is called in English, but basically the core that can give you anti-force CC or anti-force interruption prevention or protection whenever it uses ult and X ult, which will be pretty important for Gunbuster because again, at the beginning, you know, even for Inazuma kick, right? At the beginning, there are no anti-force interruption protection, so this skill can potentially help you get into the kick in order to, you know, do the damage. Because, you know, once you get into the kick, then you have the protection. But before the kick comes out, if you get interrupted, then that can interrupt the thing. So I think this will be better than if we were to use something like because, you know, you can use refresh core on her as well because she does, you know, it does force her to use another Inazuma kick. But again, I think anti-force force interruption might be slightly more important than that. So because I don't think she gives anti-force reduction. Yeah, I don't think she does. Yeah, I don't think she gives it. So yeah, that's kind of sad. I mean, it's one reason why, you know, the Wataru creator pilots is preferred, right? So I think this core is the safest, and the other builds are pretty similar. You know, again, fist, because you want to do damage, and then for the support you want just more survivability. However, if you want to, you can go for more HP to, you know, do even more, you know, DPS if you want to do that as well. But I think it might be a bit safer to use the batteries. And then we got the HP core now because again, she actually gives firm steel. Yeah, after a bit, she actually gives the firm steel onto the onto Gunbuster. So you don't need firm steel on this unit if you are using her. So that's why it's probably better to use HP core because, you know, you get more HP for you to do more damage, and of course more HP, more survivability as well. So that code, universal code now basically. Like there isn't many other code out there that can be better. I mean, it does give HP, and of course when you get knocked down, you'll also heal as well, which is, you know, pretty awesome. And now for the pets, yeah, just Pisces. Again, you're a damage dealer. You'll do a lot. You'll get a lot of the Pisces, the fish, the fish's what's it called, HP shield thing. So should be pretty good. And now for the co-pilot skill, it's a free pilot for this collab. I believe she's a free pilot, even more correctly. She's a very good co-pilot, not just for Gunbuster, but for her definitely using Gunbuster, using her with the cannon pilot for Gunbuster will be a very good one because, you know, she does have a skill that does help out what's called on Gunbuster as well. So hold on. Jesus Christ, I don't know what's happening with my nose and such. So, but so pretty awesome. Oh, and of course this skill does also give the enemies, or does also give, you know, her or like the main pilot another active skill chance, which again, using another active skill in Gunbuster are pretty strong, especially as long the active skill does give you, you know, does in some way help you use more XO, because, you know, you want to do a lot more Inazuma kick and such for the game. And now I think I should probably get into the pilots. So let's start with her first, the free pilots. She's probably one of the best co-pilots, or free co-pilots. I mean, probably not the best, but she's a very good co-pilot that you should get in this collab. So just, you know, do the collab, get her, and you'll have a pretty top tier co-pilot skill, or co-pilot that you can use not just for Gunbuster, but for anything else, right? For any other team, right? Even in Apex, or even in, you know, just regular PvP. So definitely should get her. Both her support and her defense are pretty good. And you probably even use her as a main pilot for Gunbuster. But I think if you don't have the cannon pilot, I think you should probably use the Black Knight probably. But I think if you're getting Gunbuster, you might as well get her, I feel like. because again, she's a very good pilot. Because I feel like eventually, the Watch Out, creator, because he can be used on a lot of other units, right? He can be used on a lot of other, even for future mecha, right? So when he moves on to those mecha, right, I think it'll be time for her to come back onto Gunbuster. Let's say in Apex, or let's say in some other modes, right? So yeah, or or if never mind. But yeah, so should be good. What was I gonna say? But yeah, oh yeah, okay, so let's go back to let's go into her cannon or the Gunbuster's cannon pilot. Now again, I never watched Gunbuster, so I don't know anything special about the character, but all of her skills, how do you say, is, I mean, she's a really good pilot, but what's it called? I feel like because of her first two skill are a little bit more, I guess, tied to Gunbuster. I mean, most of his skill, does correlate well with Gunbuster, but I think she is a little bit more, I guess, tied to Gunbuster, mainly because of her what's called her first two skills. I mean, she's a fine pilot overall. Her third skill does give her the ability to move in time stop, which can be pretty essential in time stop teams, which I don't really think it's that good of a strategy to go for, but I mean, she does have the skill that she can use for it, but her other skills, when not using it with Gunbuster, I don't think it will be better than a lot of the Wiccan pilots now. So yeah, if not using with Gunbuster, I think the only thing that is like special about her would be the able to move in time stop while being a good enough pilot to field, I guess. Like even when not on Gunbuster, but yeah. But yeah, I think if you're planning on getting Gunbuster to at least 7-star or a max star or more, then I think she is a good pilot to pick up, because once this guy moves away from Gunbuster, that is when she will come back to be the Gunbuster pilot, because what else, what the pilot are you gonna what a pilot are you gonna put her with, right? And even though you can use the him on it, again, I don't want to pronounce his name, even though you can use him on it, he is probably also better to move on to another unit as well. So eventually, she will be back with his Gunbuster as, I guess, one of the better unit on Gunbuster after Gunbuster is out, once Gunbuster is outdated. So that should be it about the builds. I probably wouldn't get into the Buster machines. Just know that the Buster machines are a really good limited planes. Now I have heard that what's called, they are losing to the, or like, I don't know when, but they're losing to this unit. But I find it a bit hard to believe, considering how strong the Buster machine is. How they accommodate with each other. Also being able to cover a lot of things with the chassis. By just being able to reload themselves pretty consistent DPS, and also heal themselves and such. I don't really see that, unless the return attack on that other plane, like on the Watch Out plane, is that high or that strong. I don't really see how you will lose this again, like with Nadia Wiccan and such. So yeah. For new players, I think if you can, like if you have enough stamina, you can considering going for the planes, but I don't really think it's that wise to use that much stamina just for these planes. So if you have the fortune to have some sun badges, so if you're going to sun badges, right? Jesus Christ. Also, Grandpa on Gunbuster, that's a waste. Yeah, that is a waste. Yeah, Grandpa on Gunbuster's waist, because Grandpa is probably a lot better to be on some other units. So, can you guide me on how to use Psychopic Core? I currently have 11 of them. I don't know how to use it. Okay, okay. I'm gonna get into that once I finish talking about, you know, like everything about Gunbuster. So, 1 second. Yes. So I wasn't looking at the thing. So, so if you have the fortune of Sun Badge, then yeah, you probably should get them from Sun Badge. Both number 2 and number 1 are fine, I think. No, I don't know which one is better. Like you should probably ask like the limited pros. I heard 2 is better, but I think 1 is also pretty consistent. So yeah. Let me see. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It does. I think it is also. I think it's also consistent. So yeah, I guess just ask the limited pros if you don't have enough, you know, to get. Or I guess, you know, hybrid, right? Like if you have a lot of so much save up, then okay, well, don't redeem. Okay, don't use your Super LZ to redeem some match. That's the no. Don't do that, right? If you have some much save up somewhere else, right, in some other events or from, you know, or from store and such, then probably, you know, use those if you want to save stamina, because again, grinding all 10 of these planes are gonna take a lot of stamina. Like, you only need 4k to finish the entire thing. So my suggestion is to, at least just for new players at least, is to get the Gunbuster. I mean, for any player that is low on stamina, is to get a Gunbuster, and for the planes, kind of just see how much you can get. You know, yeah, see how much you can get from just playing the game normally, without spending like probably 200 or something less stamina pots just to get these planes. I don't know if that's worth it, even though they are very good planes for limited arena. And for new player, these planes are probably good in any modes. But again, it is such a stamina like horde that is not fun if you're low on stamina, especially when, you know, future collabs might be coming soon that, you know, that you'll be caught off guard if you know, that if you don't want, like let's say if you don't like any of the collabs in the future that I have shown like in my videos, then I guess you can go for it by, you know, using every stamina pots you have and just save on those events. But again, just heads up, right? Just heads up to not, you know, to go in knowing what's happening. Also, Evie, welcome. Alright, so that should be everything for Gunbuster. I think I talked about, yeah, I believe I talked about everything. I don't think there's anything else I forgot to say. So, what is the Psychopathic Core? Let me go check. If you're still here, yeah, sorry. So I didn't check us too fast. So, Psychopathic Core. What core is that? Hold on. Wait, hold on. Also, 1 second. Psychopathic Core. Yeah, hold on, where's the Psychopathic Core? I don't... Hold on. Is it not in the... Hold on. Am I just not reading it right? Yeah, hold on. Am I missing something? Am I not reading something well? Hold on. Psychopathic Core Japanese version. Hold on. I mean, I'm using CM, but I should know what you're talking about. It should be let me see. No. It's not this one, right? Like, it's not this one, right? Because this one is hold on. Psycho. This one? I don't... Hold on. Yeah, I'm not too sure which one you're talking about. Psychopathic core. Up mech. Hold on. What is happening? Can you tell me the effect of the Can you tell me the effect of the core and such? So I mean, meanwhile, I can probably show you guys what happened if you were to use the Black Knight on on a thing. So if you were to use Black Knight, right, like after, or the Black Knight Awaken, like after you use active skill, even with everything turns off, like it would just do that, because every time it goes into stance, it will do that. Now, I don't think that's a good idea, because the stance is a really good skill. I don't really think you should like change it into a counter, but what's it called? It is funny, right? Just by not doing anything, it can already kill stuff. So yeah. And aside from these three pilots, the Black Knight, the Cannon Pilot, and the Waterloo Creators, yeah, there isn't really much other, like, I guess, meta pilots, or like the most meta pilot that you can use. So yeah. Also, Ishtaria, can you like send me the effect of the core, so I know like what you're talking about? Because I don't know what I don't know what that means, or like I don't know what it translates to. So in NC and such, because I don't play JP anymore, so, or I don't have time to play JP from just playing with these two accounts. So only pilot that I should probably use, or like for Gunbuster, is just her with this, the Water Creator and Black Knight. Any other pilots are probably best to use somewhere else. And even for Black Knight, it's probably better to use it on, some of the units as well. So Ishtar, yeah, are you still here? Okay, what I can tell you though is about cores, right? Is that there isn't much core that is, I guess, how do you say? There isn't much core that is, I guess useful, if you know what I'm saying, right? So there's a few. Okay, so I'm going to talk about all the cores that you should look out for, because if you have that much cores, right, you should probably save them for corpse exchange, which is, so you go into corpse, right? You go into corpse, and you go into the development. How outdated? It's pretty outdated now. I think it's not that used. Like, I mean, some people still use them, but it is not. It is, it is taken over by just newer units, right? More units, that a lot of them that have, a lot of anti-4 CCs that just have higher stats, basically. So yeah, I mean, it's still usable. It is still usable, but it is not meta at all now, basically. So just like a lot of other mecha. So yeah, finally. Okay, so Ishtaria, so for whatever core that is, right, go into here, like check this every day, see if we can change all of those core into a better core, right? So, or is this one the one that you're talking about? Either way, right? Either way, this core is pretty good. This stun looking core is also pretty good. You should probably get at least like maybe 2 of this core for future mid-range units. Now, maybe not anymore, because the bug, like if they don't fix the bug, then every unit will just have permanent anti-4 CCs. Then this core wouldn't matter anymore. So yeah. Actually, I do need to talk about that. Actually, hold on. So another core is the HP core. The HP core can give, depending on the mecha, some mecha might want as much HP as possible. And any other core are just not. I mean, I guess this core is also pretty good. This core can give you just more cooldowns. And then Majin Core. Majin Core is not that like strong anymore. I mean, I guess you can also still get one and such. And maybe get one of this for a potentially ranged meta in the future or something like that. So, yeah, not too much core that are that good. Like if you like, some core are just way too, what do you say, specific. So yeah, and of course the refresh core is also something that you also get one or two or something like that that can potentially help as well. But yeah, you have 11 of those core. Like, if you see any of these core that I maxed, like, that I'm using and such, you can probably just exchange those for these core, because, again, you know, some of these core might be useful, right? So, if anything, just get one, because you have 11 of that core. Even if that core is one of those cores, then you can probably just exchange until you only have 4 of them, and that should be fine. So. Okay, so yeah, I forgot, because of the bug, right? Because of the bug that once you use an skill with anti-force CC protection, and it will give you a permanent anti-force CCs. If that bug is still not fixed in the future, right? If that bug is still not fixed in the future, that is when you should probably use another core, even if you're using her, because for this core to be useful is only because, you know, it can give you protection at the beginning, right? Like at the beginning of the, it should be give you the chance to use action out. But if, as long as you can get one out normally, and you will be immune to everything else in the future, if that bug isn't fixed, that is when you can probably go for something like a refresh core, right? A refresh core, even the sun core thing, or just some other core, like other good core. Like for example, you can probably even use this one as well if you want to, right? So, but that is only if they don't fix the bug in the future, which I don't, because the thing is, if they don't fix the move, I think it might be quite hard for them to, I guess, I don't know, like, of course, I don't know how they will, you know, take the meta, like how some meta works in the future, but I can just look out for it, right? If the bug is still not fixed in EN, then just use some other core that can potentially, even just more HP might actually be better than this core, because again, as long you see your Gunbuster use an super ease the Nanami kick out, like finishing the action and such, then you should be clear the entire match. Again, if it's a bug, it's not fixed. So, however, I mean, there are skills that are stripping enemies of anti-force CCs. So maybe once anti-force CC, like stripping anti-force CC protection meta comes out, then it might be a time to also use, you know, to use back onto this core, because hey, you might want to have those cores, you know, like those protection back on once those become prevalent. What a unit you use on home that still uses I don't think so. The meta now, right? Meta now, I believe. Hold on, I can probably just see like the top team right now. Actually, probably not here, but let me see. 1 second. I haven't been PvPing for a long time. Something like this. I mean, this guy have two Gaogaigar, but I mean, look, something like this, right? You know, what room are there for, you know, like what room are there for, you know, for what room are there for Gunbuster, right? I don't think so. So yeah, and this is what I'm talking about, right? You know, that this is what I'm talking about. The Waterloo creator person, he can move on onto like a better units, right? But and once everyone moves on, right? Once he moves on to a better units, once, you know, other people move on to better units, then, you know, Gunbuster will come back to her as the main pilots. So yeah. So, all right. Any more questions? If not, I'll just call it a day. I thought I can get it done within within 50, like within 30 minutes, but apparently not. I mean, it's fine, it is Gunbuster, so might as well spend more time on it. So thank you. Hold on, I think I probably built like a Nadia Awaken limited for Blossom Machine real quick. Actually, so hold on, where's my Nadia Awaken? Nadia Awaken, yeah. And where's Blossom Machine? Also, if you're gonna be using Blossom Machines, you use both, because both, as long they're together, they can, they can Jesus Christ. as long they're together, they can have the HP buff, which can, make them even more damaging and such. So I'll just make a good build real quick for just for overall, right? 1 second, let me see. Might actually be better to use this thing, yeah. And for the coatings, probably use Gaia code. Probably not Gaia code. Let's use this one, right? For the pets, probably this one, and for the defense, probably use something like this thing, right? So something like this. There you go. Something like this should be able to help you out in limited on either Gunbuster units. Should be able to help you one shot enemies pretty quickly. So it's just gone. And when Nadia does kill things, right, it will also regenerate. It will also regenerate it will regenerate ammo. So yeah, I can pretty much kill enemy pretty quickly, and pretty much the same thing for the other one as well. Pretty much the same thing, but it'll be like another good pilot that they can have on. So yeah. All right, so now good. Now I got that in as well. So I should have done that as well. But yeah, what else? Oh, it's a new pet that I don't remember. that's kind of a crazy wait, why is there? Oh, it is. That is just a new pet, like a new SAS pet. Interesting. Is there anything I need to do? Anything I need to do for this thing? I don't think so. I'll just be here until I guess the 59th. I don't want it to go into hours, so I'll probably end the stream on you know what? Probably end the stream. Nah. I'll probably end the stream on 56. Probably a better number to end. Probably a better number to end at, honestly. Or maybe or maybe 54. I don't know. I don't know what is the best stream to end on. Jesus Christ, I don't know why stream for things always. Anyway, anything I need to do. Oh, speaking of, like, I want to show this, right? The corp ranking. Oh my god, yes. Global is always Global is always at the top now. Yeah. So top corp is actually, yeah. So the top 4 corps now is all us, because Global is technically that bunny, right? So top 4 is all us now, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. Someone got banned in the thing. That's kind of funny. So pretty awesome. I haven't been PvPing much lately, but there's only 18 ace lately as well. That's funny. Anything else? Yeah, I don't think so. Let me just. Yeah, if you're a new player, just know that feel free to apply in our Discord, and we can find a room for you in our corps and such. So yeah, And if you're, you know, and if you're above level 40, right, they can also join Throne. Throne is also us at the moment, so that can also join it. We usually have space in this corp as well. So if you love us enough, definitely try to join Throne if you want. So, and of course, if you're, you know, at max level and such, you can just tag us, and we will have room for you in any of the higher corps too. So yeah. Alright, I think that should be enough. Alright, so alright. Thank you so much for being here. Whoops.